Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I hope you guys are doing fantastic out there. In this video today, we're going to talk about some power tools. If you look at this group on the left, these are Makitas, and if you look at the group on the right, these are DEWALTs. Now, the tools that we're going to be talking about specifically in this video today on the left here are these compact tools. This is a drill driver and this is an impact driver. And then on the right, we have the impact driver and the drill driver, as well as the corresponding chargers. This large drill on each side is just there for size comparison to show you the difference of how compact these smaller tools are. Now, I purchased all of these compact tools at my local Home Depot. Now, if we start off looking at the DEWALT packaging, we have DCK278C2. This was picked up for $149. Now, if we look at the Makita, it's a CX203SYB. This one was picked up for $169. Now, both of these kits come with, as you can see, a battery charger. They come with a drill and the impact driver. All of these tools are brushless technology. The batteries that come with these kits are lithium-ion rechargeable batteries. These are 18-volt batteries at 1.5 amp hour, and these are 20-volt max batteries at 2 amp hour. Now, these ratings of 20 volt is kind of a gimmick in my opinion. So if people get caught up thinking that 18 volt is less powerful than 20 volt, that's not true. If we were to take these batteries and put them on their corresponding chargers, and when charging is complete, we're going to get a measurement of 20 volts with the voltmeter on each of these batteries. So really, these DEWALTs are an 18 volt platform. Now again, these are all brushless motors, and if we look at the older tools, these are brushed style motors. When purchasing these kits, both of the kits came with these very nice tool bags. As you can see, the Makita bag is a little bit taller and the thickness feels to be a little bit thicker on the DEWALT bag, but not much. They're both very good high quality bags that are included with these kits. If we take a look at these battery chargers, the Makita battery charger will charge anything lithium-ion or nickel metal hydride from 7.2 to 14.4 on the nickel metal hydrides, and on the lithium ions it'll go from 14.4 all the way up to 18 volts. So this charger is a very good charger. It will not charge the lithium-ion CXT 12 volt Makita batteries. That's kind of unfortunate, because if you look at the DEWALT charger, it'll charge the 12 volt all the way up to the 20 volt lithium-ion max batteries. So this one is, in my opinion, probably a better charger, and it's much, much smaller. But the fact that it'll charge these 20 volt max batteries as well as the 12 volt lithiums, that's very cool that they are doing this with this charger. If you look at the batteries side by side, the DEWALT battery looks to be a little bit thinner. Looks to be a little bit smaller in height. And the width of the batteries looks about the same from what I can see. And as you can see right here, the button to release the battery on the DEWALT, the button is larger, but the retention part is smaller. So if you look at this retention part on the Makita, it's wider than that of the DEWALT. But both of these batteries, I think, are very comparable in size. The weight of the batteries, I can't tell a difference really. I'd have to put them on a scale, but I'm gonna guess that the DEWALT is just a tiny bit heavier, but I can't prove that unless I had a scale. So we're gonna stick this battery on, and on the DEWALT charger, you can see we have a red flashing indicator. This will turn solid red when charging is complete, and on the Makita, it'll turn solid red and then when charging is complete, we'll have a solid green. Now this battery was probably already charged, so it didn't take long. So we'll go ahead and wait for the DEWALT battery to get fully charged, because I'm going to be testing these tools. Right now we're looking at the DEWALT drill specifications. We have low range of 0 to 450 RPM, and then on high range we go from 0 to 1650 on the RPMs. It has 15 settings on the clutch, half-inch drill chuck, and that's a ratcheting chuck, very nice high quality chuck. Total length of the drill is 6.3 inches, and the total weight of only the tool, this does not include the battery, it's 2.4 pounds. Now if we come over to the Makita, we'll look at the same type of specs here. We're looking at the drill. We have a half-inch, also a ratcheting chuck, and it gives some capacities. The RPM on low is 0 to 500, so it's 50 RPMs faster on low, and then we go from 0 to 1700 on high, so that is 50 RPMs faster. Overall length of the drill is 5 7/8, and the weight with the battery is 2.9 pounds. So 2.9 with the battery and 2.4 without the battery. Now if we look at the impact driver, we go from 0 to 2800 RPMs. This is a 1/4 inch hex drive, and it produces 1700 inch-pounds of torque. 0 to 3200 impacts per minute, and the tool length is 5.1 inches, and the weight, again, without the battery, is 2.1 pounds. Now looking at the Makita, we also have a 1/4 inch shank. We have a 2-speed transmission on the impact driver. The DEWALT does not have that. It's a single speed. And on low we go from 0 to 1300 RPMs, and on high we go from 0 to 3000 RPMs, and the beats per minute or impacts per minute is 0 to 2000 on low, or 0 to 4100 on high. And this one produces a little less inch-pounds of torque at 1240, where the DEWALT put out 1700. So the DEWALT shows to have more inch-pounds of impact force. So I kind of think that the DEWALT might be a little stronger, a little more powerful. Overall length is 5 1/4 inches, so very similar, and the weight 2.6 pounds with the battery. So both of these tools, the DEWALT and the Makita, are very comparable in size and in performance. So when I was talking about the RPMs of these drills, if we talk about these older drills like this Makita, on high it puts out 1700 RPMs. So this new drill puts out the exact same RPMs. The DEWALT, the larger drill, it also put out 1700 RPMs, and the new one, the small one, puts out pretty close, but 1650 RPMs. So the revolutions per minute that these newer, smaller tools put out compared to these older, larger ones is almost identical. Let's go ahead and take a look at this impact driver from Makita. First thing that we can see is on the front of the tool, when we depress the trigger a little bit, you'll see that the light, the LED there, turns on. If you turn this light on and you let off the trigger and leave the tool alone, this light will turn off in 10 seconds. Now, you do have the option to not use a light at all. So if you want to change this, what you'll do is you'll turn the light on here, and then push this button and hold this until the light turns off. Now that the light is off, you will not get the light working on the tool. So that's kind of cool for some people that don't like the LED light on their tool. They can choose this option. Again, if you want the light to work, just push and hold this button down, and you'll see the LED light, and then you can use the light. Inserting the bits is very simple. You push it in, and then you pull this collar forward, and the bit will lock into place. It's a two-handed operation on this Makita impact. You cannot just push this in and it will lock. It doesn't work that way. You have to pull the collar forward and insert the bit for this impact to accept your bit. You have a variable speed trigger. The motor is very smooth. Variable speed operation. And then on the bottom of the tool, you'll see the letters H, S, and A. H is for hard impact, S is for soft, and A is for automatic. So right now we have both those lights lit up, so that means that we're in hard. This is going to have basically the maximum performance that this tool can produce. If you push the button, you'll see that now we only have one thing illuminated. That is now on soft. So we have a lower RPM. And then if we go to A, we're in automatic. So the tool will sense what it needs to drive a fastener in. Now when you're in reverse and going counterclockwise, even if you're on automatic, it's going to impact just as hard on automatic as it will on hard. So it's kind of cool that they give you basically three different options here. You have hard, soft, and automatic. So when the Makita is on the hard setting, we have up to 4,100 beats per minute. This is good for tightening when force and speed are desired. It's good for tightening wood screws and bolts and things like this. Now if we change this to the soft setting, let me see, get that on, we'll get up to 2,000 beats per minute. So we get a lot less performance. This is a good option when you don't need as much power and you want to minimize the potential to break the heads off of screws and stuff like that. That's when you would use the soft setting. Then we go over to automatic, and this again will go up to 4,100 beats per minute. And this is good for when you're tightening screws and you want a little bit more control and you're kind of letting the tool decide what it needs to do for you. So this is very good. This is good when you're going to be using long screws. You got big heavy tasks. Automatic is a good setting. But me personally, for this video today, I'm just going to leave it on hard. Now, feeling the weight of this tool, the balance, the ergonomics, the rubber overmolding, they've done a really good job. This tool is extremely comfortable in the hands. It's very well balanced. I could carry this thing all day and do a lot of work with it. It doesn't feel uncomfortable or anything. I don't feel any hot spots or nothing like that. The tool is very comfortable in the hand. Now, releasing the bit here, you have to push this collar forward, and then you have to physically remove the bit from the tool. Now keep that in mind, because when we get to the DEWALT, it's much different. So you have to pull the collar forward, release the bit. Now let's talk about the DEWALT for a second. First off, let's talk about the ergonomics. The grip is fantastic. The weight, the balance is fantastic. It feels like the DEWALT has a taller grip here. So if you had larger hands, the Makita feels like that grip is shorter in length. The DEWALT feels a little bit longer. So if you're wearing gloves or something like this, the DEWALT is a larger platform to grab a hold of. The ergonomics and weight of it feels fantastic. The rubber overmolding is good. And as you can see, if you look at the back of these things, the DEWALT is larger in diameter. If we look at the length of these, the DEWALT is a tiny bit shorter, probably about 1/16 of an inch shorter or something like this, but nothing significant. Now the big parts that I love about this DEWALT, let's take a look at how we insert the bit. I absolutely love this. You put the bit there, push it in, one-handed operation, and that bit is now locked in. Now take a look at letting the bit out. Watch this, it'll throw the bit out. When you put the bit in and you get ready to release, it throws the bit out. And it's very easy. I love what they've done. As long as you're using clean bits and there's not sawdust and stuff, it will just literally throw that bit out. So one-handed insertion of the bit on the DEWALT, absolutely fantastic. But the ergonomics and everything, they feel very well, very good in the hand. I think the Makita down towards the bottom right here feels a little bit thinner. The DEWALT feels a little bit thicker in the hand. A little bit thicker. Makita feels a little bit thinner. But both are very, very comfortable to hold. Okay, let's take a look at these LEDs. If you look at this bit, where we're going to be coming in contact with our material, look at where the light is shined in reference to our bit. See how that light has a little tiny shadow above where the bit would touch the surface? But for the most part, the Makita light is in the right spot. They've done a good job on this light. Now let's take a look at the DEWALT, because in my opinion, the DEWALT lighting is far superior than the Makita. So watch this. When we hit the light on that DEWALT, look at that. It has light everywhere. I absolutely love the way they did the light on the DEWALT. Hands down, a much better lighting option here. No doubt about it. Okay, let's have a little fun. Let's put a Torx bit in this DEWALT. We're going to drive some 3-inch screws. So let's get a feel for this impact. Let's start right here. We're going to take a look and see how this feels. Did a pretty good job. And let's see how the Makita performs with the same type of screw. Same area. Let's see how the Makita feels. Wow. The Makita seems to have put that screw in a little bit faster. Okay, now let's remove them. That was pretty quick. Let's try the DEWALT. Let's remove it. Makita is definitely a faster impact. Let's go ahead and drive again with the DEWALT in a new hole. Here we go. Okay. Makita. Right next to it. Wow. I did not expect the Makita to have more power than the DEWALT as far as putting them screws in. I honestly thought that the DEWALT was going to have more power. But as we can see, it appears to me that the Makita just does it quicker. Puts them in and takes them out quicker. Let's remove. They're both very good, but from my point of view, I feel that the Makita is faster. Okay, now we're going to use some of these 1/4-inch hex screws, these little bolts here. We're going to start with the DEWALT. So I love the insertion of the bits. This is absolutely fantastic. In fact, let's talk about one more thing. When you go to grab this to take the bit out, you can see that it's wider towards the outside and thinner on the inside. That gives you a little collar to grab a hold of that makes taking these bits out and putting them in so much nicer than the Makita. DEWALT wins clearly, in my opinion, on the hex here and the chuck, or whatever you want to call this part of the tool. Way better. So let's go ahead and drive one of these into one of these holes. We'll start with the DEWALT. Okay, no problems, plenty of power. let's go to the Makita. We'll go into the hole right next to it. Definitely faster, no doubt about it. Let's remove it. Much faster. For a smaller tool, I'm actually surprised that it's faster, that it has more power. DEWALT is no slouch either though. It does very well. Let's go ahead and try putting a screw in just a new spot and see how the DEWALT does. Get it started. Okay, good job. Did a very good job. Let's try it for the Makita right next to it. I think the Makita is faster. And the Makita impact has definitely got more power. So final thoughts about these impacts. The Makita having 3 different settings, you know, hard, soft, and automatic, I love that. I love the fact that you can turn the light on and off. I like the size of it. It is a smaller tool, and it seems to perform a little bit faster than the DEWALT, which surprised me because I honestly thought that the DEWALT was going to be faster. Now let's talk about the DEWALT for a second. They win hands down on the chuck. This just being able to insert the bits so easily, and the light. It puts the light exactly where you need it. The batteries, even though we have 1.5 amp hour batteries on the Makita and 2 amp hour batteries on the DEWALT, let's not forget that they're claiming 20 volt and Makita is claiming 18 volt, which is, like I said earlier, when you take these off the charger, they're both going to read probably 20 volts on a voltmeter. So the amp hour ratings, due to the math of voltages, might be impacted as a result. So what I'm saying is, I think that both of these batteries are probably very equivalent to each other. Both of these are brushless motors. When you listen to the motor, there's the DEWALT, very smooth sounding, and here's the Makita, also very smooth sounding. Both of these impacts have very good fans that blow air out of the impact, so this is good for cooling. Another thing that I really like is when we turn the lights on, this Makita turns off a little sooner, but I like that DEWALT lights stay on a little longer. If you were up in an attic, see that one already turned off? This one's still on. And you needed that light for a longer period of time, you're crawling through an attic. I like what they did with the light on the DEWALT. It's almost twice as amount of time that light stays on. So that means you have to press the trigger less. It's just a better light all around on the DEWALT, in my opinion. The rubber overmolding and stuff for protecting the side of the tool and stuff like this is very nice on both of them. They both have a cast type housing up here, very solid. The controls, you know, getting the buttons pressed and stuff is very easy. You do see a larger button on the Makita, which is a little bit easier to find, but not really that big of a deal, to be completely honest with you. But both of these are absolutely fantastic, and I think a person could be happy with either one of them very easily. Now let's take a look at them drills. You can see a nice beefy housing up here. You've got a metal housing up here on the transmission. We have a clutch that goes up to 20. We have a 2-speed gearbox. Very easy to hold. Nice ergonomic feel to it, just like the Impact had. Good big rubber overmolding. Variable speed trigger. The battery insertion is very simple, very easy. So I like what Makita's done here. It's a very small drill. Has kind of a whiny sound to it, to be completely honest with you. The electric brake is good, so watch when the chuck stops, how quick it stops. Stops very quick. This does have a 1/2 inch chuck, so you can change and tighten your chuck. It's a ratcheting chuck, as you could hear. So what that means for those of you who might not understand, when you put a bit in, when you get close to tightening, you can ratchet this down and you hear all that cracking and stuff. That's a ratcheting chuck. That locks that bit in very solid and they're not going to slip. So it's a very good chuck on the Makita here, a ratcheting chuck. Let's take a look at the DEWALT here. Very much the same kind of stuff. Ergonomics feels good. The height of the handle feels a little bit higher. Now you notice the DEWALT light is positioned down here where the Makita was right above the trigger. As far as the motor, this sounds smoother. Makita sounded whiny. Watch that electric brake right now. Let's watch the electric brake on the DEWALT. It just slows down and stops. I like the sound of the DEWALT. Sounds smoother to me. Take a look at that chuck. Let's go ahead and try the ratcheting portion of it. So we'll get the bit started. Now let's tighten it down. Listen. Yeah. I think the chuck here on the DEWALT is a better chuck. I didn't care for the fact that on the Makita chuck, I can see a snap ring exposed here. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but I can see a snap ring exposed right there. I don't like that personally. The collar for the clutch is larger in diameter on the DEWALT. So what does that mean? To me, that means it's easier to get a hold of and easier to manipulate. The Makita collar is a little smaller and it's a little bit smoother. It doesn't have as much traction to get a hold of. Even though you hear those very positive sounds in the clicking, it's a little harder to get a hold of. So if you had maybe slippery hands, wet hands or something, you would probably slip and not be able to manipulate this collar as easily. I think the DEWALT did a better job because there's more traction on this and it's a little bit larger. And it does have not a clicky sound, but it does have its own kind of bumpy sound. So both collars are good, but I like what DEWALT did here on the chuck and on the collar here. But I like the metal gear housing on the Makita versus this plastic stuff on the DEWALT. Now, there is major differences in the clutch, and I'll talk about that here in a second. If we go up to the highest setting, which on the DEWALT is 15, we hold this, it sounds fine. Now, if we do the same thing on the Makita, it doesn't stop at 15, it stops at 20, but we're kind of dealing with the same thing. The clutch sounds and feels about the same on the high end. Now, if we go down to the lowest setting, down to 1, and we feel the clutch, the Makita feels fine. It would be good for small screws, but watch when we do the DEWALT. This is a major difference. When we go down to 1, this is very soft. That is so impressive. Because to me, that means I can run some small fasteners, very tiny fasteners without breaking them. So you have a lot of options on your clutch. You can go anywhere from something super, super soft all the way up to something super heavy. So it's a big, big difference. I really like that. Makita's lowest setting is much harder. If you're going to be doing wood screws and stuff like that, not that big of a deal. But if you're going to be working on crafts or something where you have small, tiny little fasteners, the DEWALT clutch is far superior. We're going to take a look at this light. Look at where it puts that light. Okay, switch over to the Makita. How's that light? Big shadow right above the bit. So DEWALT wins when it comes to light. Not by a long shot. So as far as lights are concerned, I think the DEWALT does a little bit better job of getting the light where you need it. I do like that the light on the Makita turns off a little sooner than the DEWALT, just like before. But again, if you're going to be in an attic, you want the longer light. So this one will turn off in 10 seconds, where this one stays a little bit longer. So that's nice, again, if you're up in an attic. And let's run some screws and see if this whiny motor, if that's just a sound that's a cosmetic thing, or is that a factor? How are these things going to perform when we're putting screws in wood? I have this clutch on the highest setting, which is 20. I'm going to go in this previous hole that did not run those larger screws. So I'm just going to try this just to see how it goes in a pre-existing hole. Clutch is out real nice. Let's do the same thing with the DEWALT. We are on the highest setting of the clutch, which is 15. Let's go ahead and see how this one performs. It did a good job. It felt like the Makita put it in a little quicker. Let's go ahead and take it out. Okay, good job. Pulled it out, no problem. Plenty of power. Let's go ahead and go back to the Makita. And we're going to extract that screw. Feels like the Makita is faster to me. Let's go ahead and drive a screw right here next to it in a new spot. So we're going to get the Makita. We'll go in forward, get it started a little bit. Now, let's drive that screw. Okay, got a little bit of slippage, but that's to be expected. And let's try the DEWALT. Let's drive that screw right next to it. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to just kind of get it started. And now let's drive that screw. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull it out. No problem. Let's try the Makita. Pull it out. No problem. I like the electric brake on the Makita. It's a little quicker. Okay, let's go ahead and put our 1/4 inch hex in here. We're going to take those 2 screws that we used earlier, and the new holes up here, actually, we're going to put these in. We'll start with the Makita, and let's run that thing down. That was pretty quick. Let's try the DEWALT. Let's get that hole next to it and get started. Ready, set, go. Pretty good. I think I'm going to swap out batteries here on the DEWALT. Okay, I'm on a new battery on the DEWALT. Let's go ahead and remove the screw. Okay, that clutched out, but that's to be expected. Let's try the Makita. Wow, that did a good job. Let's go ahead and put the screw back in on another hole here. Nice job. Let's try the DEWALT one more time now that we have a good fresh battery. We are still on the highest setting of the clutch, 15. The clutch doesn't want to go put the fastener all the way in like the Makita did. So that tells me that the Makita clutch is a little bit stronger on the highest setting. Let's back this out. Very fast on the DEWALT. Now let's take it out on the Makita. I'd say these are both equal as far as in and out with these screws. Did a good job. So now we'll put these things all the way up to drill mode, where it's not going to clutch at all. And we are going to use our finger as the guide that tells us when to stop. So we're going to drive these screws in. We're going to make a brand new hole. We're going to start with the Makita. And let's get started. The Makita put it in pretty good, and at the very end it felt like a little loss of power. Took it out very well. Let's do it again. Let's put it in. There at the very end it had a loss of power when it bottomed out. Okay, let's try the DEWALT. Let's take a look and see if we experience that same kind of loss of power at the end. Okay, the DEWALT definitely had more power putting that screw in. Let's try it here. Yeah, we are not losing any power on the DEWALT. I'm digging that. It actually countersinks those screws with the washers on it. So that was pretty impressive. Let's do the Makita one more time. And just to let you know, these tools are in high range. So let's go ahead and try the Makita again. See, at the very end, I don't know if that's something in the programming of the drill to do that because it knows that the fastener's in, or if it just loses power. But it did it again. There it goes. When that fastener's in, the Makita, it stops. Let's try the DEWALT one more time. Yeah, the DEWALT definitely has more power. No doubt about it. I mean, that thing just countersinks the crap out of those things. Let's take a look at the Makita again. Nice job. Now, let's try the DEWALT. We're going to go down. Right there. The DEWALT kind of does it too, but not as soon as the Makita. It definitely puts them screws in with more power. Okay, now we are going to test a 5/8 inch drill bit, and we're going to drill some holes into this 4x4. We're going to start with the Makita, and to do this test, we're going to put these drills in low range first. Let's go with the Makita. Okay, no problem. Let's try it again. Now, just for the sake of you hearing that drill stop there for a second, that was my finger coming off the trigger, not the drill stopping. So it did good. Drilled the holes. Let's take the DEWALT. We'll put it also on low range. We're going to do the same 5/8 inch drill bit here. And let's do the DEWALT in low range. Okay, did a good job. Okay, so both of those drills did a good job drilling the 5/8 inch holes in this 4x4. Let me flip this over to the other side. Okay, now that we've determined that these tools both drill very well in low range, let's put them up in high range and see if they will drill into this block of wood. We're going to do one hole right here, and then we'll do another hole right there for the Makita. So we are drilling into 4x4 material with the 5/8 inch drill bit. I want to make sure that I don't drill through. I don't want to drill into my truck, so let's go in high range. Okay, it starts and then it hangs up. Okay, we're not quite through. And there we go, we just went through. So I think I'm going to try that one more time because I don't feel that that was very impressive. Let's try it right here, right next to it. Okay, I've had to back up several times to get that hole through with the DEWALT. Now, let me do 1/3 hole right here for good measure. And what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna push real hard. I'm just gonna let the drill kind of go through the material nice and easy on its own time. I'll put mild downward pressure. Every time it grabs, it stops the drill. And I'm not pushing hard. That's every time it grabs, it's doing that, okay? So it did that every time it grabbed. Let's switch over to the Makita. Okay, we're in high range. Let's get this drill bit installed. And let's see what the Makita does. Same thing. Okay, are we through? Nope. There we go, there's one. Now I'll try it without pushing hard. I'll just push mildly. That's a lot of drill bit to push out of a 1/2 inch drill, especially a compact one. There we go. There's our second hole. And it sounds like our battery might be getting a little bit low. So let's try for that 3rd hole. Now let's not forget that we've already changed battery out on the DEWALT. Okay, so we were able to complete the task. From my experience, what I'm seeing here is the DEWALT seems to be a more powerful drill. It seems to have more oomph when it comes to drilling these holes. All right, let's try one more, just for good measure here. I'm not gonna push hard, I'm just gonna let the drill work. Yes, the DEWALT definitely has more power. Both are very good, but the DEWALT drill has more power. So if you watch Forged in Fire, they will drill. Okay folks, we are done testing these tools. My final thoughts are here. Wow, that was a fun video to do. First thing that I'll say is both of these tools, the DEWALT and the Makita, they both performed absolutely fantastic. If you are someone who is already set up with a specific platform, like I am, I'm already with Makita, so I would choose the Makita just because I already have the platform. If you're already with DEWALT, these tools are going to perform good for you. There was some features about each individual tool that I mentioned in the video that I'll reiterate again now, and that's, let's start with the drill. The chuck on the DEWALT, it feels like a higher quality chuck. The ratchet of the chuck cinches down very well. The Makita, there was a couple of times when I cinched down a bit and then I took the bit out, and when I tried to open and close the chuck, you can hear that ratchet sound. It shouldn't be making that sound right now because I don't have nothing in there. So the quality of chuck that they've selected for the DEWALT is better. I like the fact that the collar is larger and it's got more traction to get a hold of for the clutch. I also love, or the low side of this, where you can just get this thing down to where it's so precise. So if you had super small, very intricate screws or something made out of soft material or something, maybe brass screws or something, you don't want to break them. The clutch on the DEWALT is absolutely fantastic. The light being down here, it seemed to have done a better job putting the light where you need it. The Makita was very smooth, but when we started drilling those 5/8 inch holes, which is really a hard test for these tools, to be completely honest, because they are compact size tools, the DEWALT drill clearly had more power, no doubt about it. But both of these performed well in those tests. I had to put it in reverse, get the drill bit unstuck, go forward again. But again, I had less of that with the DEWALT. I like that the Makita had the metal housing. The RPM is a little faster, and maybe that's why DEWALT reduced the RPM on the high end by 50 RPM. So 1700 versus 1650, I think we're seeing the difference in performance having a little less RPM because it seemed to have a lot more power when it came to pushing that drill bit. So final thoughts on these kits. Both of them are absolutely fantastic. If you're somebody that is very conscious about the money that you're spending, or maybe you're on a budget, go with the DEWALT. You are not going to be disappointed. I think you're getting a better drill. I mean, they were both absolutely fantastic. They're both ergonomic. They're both easy to handle. They're both easy to operate. I do like the features of the chuck and the clutch on the DEWALT. I like the metal gear housing on the Makita. The motors, the whiny sound doesn't bother me so much now because it did perform well. But both of these are very good. Now let's talk about these impact drivers. Both of these impact drivers were absolutely fantastic. I love the lights that they put on the DEWALT. It puts the light right on the workpiece exactly where you need it to be illuminated. The chuck on the DEWALT impact is far better than the Makita. Not having to pull the collar forward to insert a bit, to me, is a big deal. I don't like to have two hands to put a bit in. Now I do have an impact at home that's also Makita that has this kind of a chuck. Why don't they put that on all of their Makita impacts? Problem solved if they did that. It'd be very simple. I also like how the DEWALT impact has a raised collar here, so you have some traction that you can get a hold of. It's not the same collar that you're trying to grab, so you're not relying on just the knurling alone. to take the bit out. I like that they did that little adjustment there. I also like how the DEWALT seems to spit the bits out if they're clean. The Makita was a two-handed operation to put the bit in and to take the bit out. Now, when it comes to the motors, the Makita was so much smoother. And the Makita had 3 different settings. I mean, you had hard, soft, and you had automatic. And performance-wise, the Makita did put the screws in faster than the DEWALT. But both absolutely fantastic. They performed very well. There's some features here that I like more. There's some features here that I like more. The features are better here, but the performance was better here. As I shake this, I'm hearing rattle of the battery. When I shake the Makita, I don't hear that. So I don't know if the drills are doing that. Not really. Not really. So final thoughts are simple. If you have a budget and you're only wanting to spend a certain amount of money, for 150 bucks, these are fantastic. It's a good deal. The drill, I think, is a better drill. The impact on the Makita, I think, is better. Now, color. Why did they turn to this black and get rid of that teal blue? I don't know. I like the Makita teal colors that they had in the past. So as far as color, I gotta be honest, I like the DEWALT, the yellow. It's cool for this kit. Price point was good on the DEWALT. They don't come with any accessories other than, you know, the tools themselves, the hooks to hang on your belt, which worked very well on both tools, and they both performed very well. I had fun doing this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. The bags are good. Everything about these tools is good. Price point was good. Makita was slightly more expensive. But with all that being said, folks, I want to say thank you for watching the video today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave comments down below and let me know. Do you have the DEWALTs? Do you have the Makitas? Or do you have something other? If it was up to you and you had to choose, which drill would you choose between these two? And which impact would you choose between these two? I'd like to know your thoughts. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it helped you out. If you're out there trying to make a decision on buying this kit or this kit, hope the video helped you. And until next time, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.